Welcome back to another video. Today we got another interesting video. We're going to be redrafting probably one of the best draft years ever, the 2015 NHL draft. Of course, while doing this, we're going to have several different opinions. In my opinion, it's probably the incorrect one. Going through and actually trying to label everyone, it was actually quite difficult. But starting it off here, I mean, there's no debate about the first overall pick here. The Edmonton Oilers end up going on and winning the draft lottery. And with that, they selected the Phenom. Probably, I mean, the consensus #1 player in the entire world right now, at least in my opinion and lots of others. But Connor McDavid, I'm not making any surprises here. First overall, I got the stats pulled up on the left here. So yeah, McDavid, 487 games played, 697 points, well over that point per game mark. And with the second overall pick for the Buffalo Sabres, I'm gonna keep it as per schedule right now. I'm gonna keep Jack Eichel as the second overall pick. I did have a couple opinions on maybe potentially switching this up, but Eichel's been absolutely electric, and he played with Buffalo in his career in Buffalo and a little bit in Vegas. 409 games played, 153 goals, 227 points. 227 assists, 380 points. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Playing with the Buffalo Sabres has some struggles, but I'm going to select him with the second overall pick to go to the Buffalo Sabres. And now let's get interesting here. The third overall pick that I have in here, he went very late and definitely was the steal of the draft. And the Arizona Coyotes are going to be getting a really good player here. And it's going to be Kirill Kaprizov going third overall, in my opinion. So we'll draft him in there. There he is, the newest member of the Arizona Coyotes. I didn't know. I think it was the 6th round he was drafted in. But so far, 136 games played, 159 points. Only played 2 years in the NHL, both above a point per game. He's been an absolute beast so far since coming into the league. So, I mean, well worth that third overall pick, in my opinion here. And at number 4, the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm going to keep them drafting Mitch Marner on this. I think Mitch Marner is a good fit for their team. He does a lot now. He's a good penalty killer, plays lots of minutes, first-line center. I think Marner's been really good for them. He also has 455 points in 427 games, so he produces very, very well. And as I said, this year watching him in the playoffs, a really, really good penalty killer. So definitely don't want to mess with that. So Mitchell Marner or Mitch Marner, I'm going to keep you at 4th overall here. Draft. And so the first 4, McDavid, Eichel, Kaprizov, Marner. I mean, I think that's a pretty fair first 4. I was really going to go Kaprizov over Eichel. I was really thinking about it. I went Kaprizov over Marner, but it could be the other way around and kind of flip it around. But for here, I'm going Kaprizov, then Marner. At 5, who do I have here? It's going to be, oh, this is a good pick. After Marner, there was some struggles who I want to go with here, but I'm going to go down into the 2nd round here at 35. Where is he? Can't find him. I'm going to search him up real quick, and it's a Carolina player, Sebastian Aho, who ends up going 35, ranked 110th. I mean, an absolute beast. Let's make sure we're drafting the right Ahos here. So Sebastian Aho, I'm going to take at number 5. So draft. He's still going to the Carolina Hurricanes, just a round earlier than when he ended up going, but he is an absolute beast. I've had him on my fantasy team for so long, and I mean, he just produces. One of the more underrated players in the league. Moving on to the next pick, 4, who do we have here? The New Jersey Devils. New Jersey, we are going to be selecting one of the players in the Stanley Cup Finals right now. Just a point per game machine. Does really almost everything. No one really talks about him because of Cal McCarr, because of Gabriel Landeskog, because of Nathan McKinnon. But I'm going to be drafting Mikko Rantanen with the 6th overall pick to the New Jersey Devils. So Rantanen, 408 points in 408 games. And for Aho, 401 points in 445 games. I just think Aho is a better two-way forward. So that's why I kind of put him up there. And plus Carolina, it only makes sense to draft him to the Carolina Hurricanes. At 7 here, the original pick for 7 was, I believe, Ivan Provorov, according to my notes. Ivan Provorov went to 7. I think Provorov's a really good player, but I think there's better players out there. And for this one, I'm going to go with one of the best goal scorers in the NHL right now, Winnipeg Jets player currently, Kyle Connor, consistently just scores 40 goals. No one ever talks about it, but I'm going to go Kyle Connor with the 7th overall pick. So Kyle Connor, 384 games, 178 goals, which is crazy. 344 points. So only 40 points below a point per game, and he's just been an absolute beast these past at least 3 years. So I'm gonna draft Kyle Connor there, and then we're on to the Columbus Blue Jackets, who originally selected Zach Rowinski here, who was a really good player in all honesty. I wouldn't go against drafting him here, but I'm gonna go with more of a skill player here to help out the Columbus Blue Jackets because they definitely need that. And I'm gonna go with Matt Barzal, one of the silkiest skaters in the entire NHL. So Matt Barzal to the Columbus Blue Jackets at 8. And then we're going to 9, where Timo Meier was originally selected. And this is where I'm going to select the first defenseman. And as a Sens fan, we know it's going to be Thomas Chabot. All right, Thomas Chabot's going top 10. I think he's the best defenseman in the entire draft. You can make an argument for Hanifin, Provorov, Rowinski, but Thomas Chabot, just a minute eating, number crunching, goal scoring, point producing, absolute phenom. One of the best defensemen in the NHL, in my opinion. So we're going to draft him at number 9, where they originally selected Timo Meier. So just a little bit on Thomas Chabot here, 313 games, 188 points. So every year just getting a little bit better. In my opinion, watching defensemen, it's when you get to that 300 game mark, that's when you normally end up becoming the best version of yourself. So out to round out the top 10 here, Colorado has a pick where originally they did choose Mikko Rantanen. But for now, Mikko Rantanen is no longer on the board. We're going to choose another defenseman, and this one is going to be Zach Rowinski going off the board to the Colorado Avalanche here. So make that selection. So there's our top 10. We got McDavid, Eichel, Kaprizov, who is a big jump, Marner, Aho, another big jump, Rantanen up a couple spots, Kyle Connor up a couple spots, Barzal a couple, Chabot up a couple, and Rowinski down a couple. So that's going to be the top 10. We'll kind of fly through a little bit of these next couple here. So Florida has the 11th overall pick, and with the 11th overall pick, I'm going to select the Vancouver stud, one of the better players, again, in my opinion, in the draft, Brock Besser. I mean, I was looking at his stats. I didn't think he was as good as what he is. Ranked 26, we're going to take him at 11. So Besser, 256 points in 324 games, quietly playing pretty well. Vancouver, they should be better. They're just not good. I don't get it, but they definitely should be a little bit better. So that's going to be my 11th overall, and this is the 12th overall pick now for the Dallas Stars. And this is where they picked Dennis Gurinov, I believe. But for me, I'm not seeing that pick here. I'm going to keep it within the organization, though. I'm going to choose a little bit later in the draft, Roope Hintz. So Roope Hintz, 71. I think he's a really good player. His stats are fantastic. We're going to keep him on the Dallas Stars team. So let's make that selection right there for the Dallas Stars. So Roope Hintz, a little bit about Roope Hintz, not a well-known player in the NHL, but 170 points in 239 games. So, I mean, really consistent, 80 goals, 90 assists. Originally drafted 49. He's now going at 12 on my list here. And obviously could be a bit lower, but I do like that fit of playing for the Dallas Stars. Next up, we have the 3 picks for the Boston Bruins, where they kind of they screwed themselves here. So in real life, they took Zaboral, Jake DeBrusk, and Sensation. Can't pronounce his name. I know he's on the Ottawa Senators now. But these 3 picks were, if they hit on these 3 picks, they would be golden right now. So the first one, I'm going to keep a defenseman in there. I'm going to go Noah Hanifin, one of the top-rated prospects for defensemen in this draft. So Hanifin, 517 games, 201 points, a really good shutdown defenseman. With their second pick, where DeBrusk was taken, I'm going to choose Timo Meier, who originally went 9th. So I think Meier's a good pick. I like Meier. I used to be when San Jose traded for Erik Karlsson, I watched a couple games, and Meier always captured my attention. An absolute beast out there. So Meier there. And then to round it out, we're going to go with another moonshot, and we're going to pick up someone who had a really, really good season this year, was 30-plus goal scorer. We're going to give Troy Terry the nod, who has 148 games played. Or sorry, not 148. 204 games played, 115 points, but he's really coming out of his shell. I think he's going to be a really good player for them. So that's the 3 Boston picks I took. So they definitely missed on all 3. I would argue DeBrusque is the best, and, he's not terrible, but you got to do a little bit better than that. So we're on to the New York Islanders here, where at this pick they chose Matt Barzal, which was tremendous value in my opinion. But looking at the board here, we got some good players. Dylan Strome wouldn't be bad. Lawson Krause wouldn't be bad. Travis Konechny. But again, I'm going to go a little bit off the board here, and I'm going to search up, Mangiapane. So Andrew Mangiapane, a little bit off the board here, but this year, I thought he was incredible. I think this is still, you're going really high with this pick. It's almost safer to go with Dylan Strome, but I'm going to go with Mangiapane. I want to make this a little bit interesting here. So Mangiapane at pick number 16 this year was a really good breakout year for him. So if he can continue the way he was playing this year, I see no reason why he can't go 16th overall. On to the Winnipeg Jets here. And finally, we're going to take Travis Konechny, who's ranked 11th, but actually got drafted 24th overall. We're going to give him a little bit of boost here. So from 24 to 17, there he is, Travis Konechny. So 428 games played, 271 points, playing on Philadelphia, who's sometimes really good. Sometimes they're absolutely terrible. So there's my pick for Travis Konechny. And then the Ottawa Senators, my boys on Ottawa, we lost out on Thomas Chabot, but I'm going to keep the defenseman train moving here. Not going to go with Jeremy Waugh. We're going to go with Ivan Provorov. I know he had some issues this year with Philadelphia. Their whole team was kind of a disaster, so I don't really blame them. But we're going to take Ivan Provorov at 18 for the Ottawa Senators. Provorov, 450 games, 200 points, a really good prospect, a really good defenseman in 2015 at least. Still, to this day, is playing really well, high-level hockey. But I think part of the issue this year was he didn't have Ryan Ellis playing with him, who they traded for to make him better. But moving on here to the Detroit Red Wings, where they originally chose Sveshnikov, Evgeny Sveshnikov, not Andrei Sveshnikov. And here is where one of our bigger slides, Dylan Strome, is going to end up. I think it'll be a good spot for him on the Detroit Red Wings. His stats aren't nearly as bad as I thought they were. Maybe just because he was 3rd overall playing with McDavid. I expected them to be a little bit lower, but 273 points in 170 games. Or I wish those stats would be unreal. 170 points in 273 games. And this is where I'm going to take Dylan Strome, headed to the Detroit Red Wings. So from the 3rd overall to 19th overall, and we're gonna keep it moving. And that was a dropper. Now it's time, I love them, time for another one of my reachers. So with the Minnesota Wild, I think this guy would actually make a great playing on Minnesota. I'm gonna go with Connor Garland, who actually has some pretty good stats, rated 108th, went 123rd, but in this mock draft he's going 20th to the Minnesota Wild. He has 241 games played, 150 points. So he's playing on Arizona. Doesn't really get talked about because he's playing on Arizona. But I think that's a good pick for them. And we're back to the Ottawa Senators here, where we're going to draft a forward. At this pick, they chose Colin White. Don't want to talk about it. But this time around, we're going to be taking someone who went 6th overall in the real draft, Pavel Zacha. So Pavel Zacha will be the Ottawa's 2nd first-round pick. So Pavel Zacha, 386 games played, 180 points. Not too crazy, but he's a very good role player. Could be a good 3rd liner, and has potential to be even better, a bigger body. Next up, the Washington Capitals. They originally drafted Ilya Samsonov. I didn't include him in this draft, I'll be honest with you. I thought about it, but just hasn't played enough for me to include him here. So at Washington, we're going to go with, let's look down the list here, and we're going to go with Gurinov. Denis Gurinov, he originally went 12th overall to the Dallas Stars, but we're going to send him to the Washington Capitals at 22nd overall. So going to make that selection there, Gurinov, and he has 214 games played, 100 points. So I just watched him play, and he's one of those skill guys who can just at any point kind of break out. And I think putting him on a line with players like Backstrom, Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, good things would happen. Good things would happen. So I think that'd be a good fit for Grunov and the Washington Capitals. at 23 here. This is where Brock Besser was originally taken, and I think it's great value for the Vancouver Canucks. But we're going to go a little bit off the board here, and get him a defenseman. I feel like they're always needing a defenseman. And I'm a big fan of Rasmus Andersson. So I watched him play a lot in the playoffs here. I mean, second round exit, but he impresses me. I'm a big Rasmus Andersson fan, so I'm going to draft him here. In 300 games, he has 115 points. I mean, nothing too special, but as a shutdown defenseman, he also scored from his own end against Mike Smith. I don't know if that's an accomplishment, but that was very interesting. The Philadelphia Flyers up next, and this is where originally Travis Konechny was taken, but obviously Konechny off the board here. And I'm going to go with the one pick in the first round that I thought Boston did an okay job at, and that is going to be Jake DeBrusk. So Jake DeBrusk, we're going to select him here at number 24, where he has 176 points in 321 games. So that's a good pick for Jake DeBrusk to end up on the Philadelphia Flyers. Moving on to the Winnipeg Jets. Right here is where they chose Jack Roslovic. And honestly, choosing Roslovic here wouldn't be the end of the world in my opinion. But I'm going to go with someone who's more of a clutch playoff performer a little bit further down the draft board. And it's going to be Anthony Cirelli, one of the best defensive players in the entire playoffs. He plays Matthews, McDavid, and people just aren't scoring on him. He didn't play McDavid, my apologies. But people just are not scoring on Cirelli. So I'm going to draft him here at 25 overall, kind of that Pajot effect. So Cirelli, 300 games played, 160 points. Just kind of shuts it down. No one scores on him. He scores. So you love to see that. And then the next pick, who do we have? The Montreal Canadiens. Let's clear this and find who we want to go there. I thought about Lawson Krause. From Montreal. Get a little bit of grit and size there. But I ended up passing on Lawson Krause. And I chose the player who was supposed to be picked right before. And let's see if we can find him in here really quickly. Jack Roslovic. Can't find him here. I think he went in the second round. So Jack Roslovic, 33rd overall. We're going to take him at 26, leading on to the Anaheim Ducks here, who actually chose, I think it was Jacob Larson here. We're not going to make that choice. Again, Lawson Krause was an interesting one for me here. Just Lawson Krause, he would be good in the playoffs. That's kind of why I want to keep him in there, but nothing really outside that. And here we're going to choose Anthony Bolivar from the New York Islanders. I think this was a good pick. He ended up going at the end of the first round, still in that kind of same range. I think he ended up going actually 28th. Yeah, I did go 28th. So we're going to choose Bolivar there, 400 games, 200 points, about half point per game. But I think good value at the end, and he's pretty smooth with the puck. I like his shot. I like his skating. I like his hands. I think he can definitely be a good player in the NHL. And then next up, we got the New York Islanders who chose Bolivar. But this time, we're going to bring a defenseman to the team. How do I spell his name? And it's going to be, if I can find him. I cannot find him, but he is ranked 189. So, let's see. 189. Can we find him in here? Cannot find him, but it would be Nudi Vera. Where is Nudi Vera in here? Can I do N-U-T? Okay, cannot find him in here, but Nudi Vera would be the draft pick here. Don't know where he is on this list, but he went 189th overall, but this time I'm sending him up to the 28th overall selection. So Nudi Vera, 80 points in 275 games played. I think he's a really good defenseman. So I'm just gonna throw Jeremy Waugh there. Pretend like that's Nudi Vera. And then we have two more picks here: the Columbus Blue Jackets and then the Arizona Coyotes. So for Columbus, we're going with another defenseman to help out where they don't have Rowinski anymore. We're gonna go Eric Cernak from the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll draft him there. Cernak, really good big defenseman who is always going to be tough to play against. So Cernak, 59 points in 200 games. Not there to score points. He's there to stop the puck from going in the net. I think he's a good defensive defenseman. So I got him at 29. And then the last pick in the first round of this draft, it's going to be a controversial one. So we could have gone Matthew Joseph, Joel Eriksson Ek, Lawson Krause, Cernak, who I drafted there. Daniel Sprong wouldn't be a bad one. Vincent Dunn. but I'm a big fan of this player here. Huge frame. I remember in the World Juniors, absolutely impossible to stop, and he is Jordan Greenway. So who end up going 39. I think really high of this player. I think he's an absolute beast. So there it is. Here is my selections. So just quickly on Greenway, 112 points in 272 games, 6'6". He's an absolute menace. But let's look at the picks here. So number 1, McDavid, I think we all agree. 2, Jack Eichel. 3, Kirill Kaprizov, the biggest jumper most likely in the draft. The best steal from the Arizona Coyotes. 4, Mitch Marner stays the same. 5, Aho goes 1 round early. 6, we got Mikko Rantanen. 7, Kyle Connor. 8, Matt Barzal. 9, Thomas Chabot. So you can kind of see that ranking beside them. That's not where they got drafted. That was where they were ranked by FC, which I believe is this website. Zach Rowinski goes 10 to Colorado. Besser 11. Rupee Hintz number 12, and the 3 picks for the Boston Bruins: Noah Hannafin, Timo Meier, and Troy Terry. Majapani goes to the Islanders at 16. Travis Konecny to the Jets at 17. The Sens get Provorov, a defenseman, at number 18. Dylan Strome drops from 4 to 19, or 3 to 19, I guess I should say. Connor Garland goes up a bunch, but he is definitely worth it. Pavel Zacha, 21. Dennis Gurinov around the same area. Dallas actually drafted him pretty high. Rasmus Anderson to the Vancouver Canucks. Jake DeBrusk, one of the Boston picks, up to 24. Cirelli goes to the Winnipeg Jets. Jack Roslovic off to the Montreal Canadiens at 26. 27, Bolivar. 28 is going to be Nudi Vera. 29, Eric Cernak. And then finally at 30, we got Jordan Greenway. What do you guys think about the draft? There is definitely going to be some controversy with these picks. I guarantee it. I guarantee some of these players, there's probably a player or two that I'm missing. But it's so hard when you got to rank all these 30 players. But what do you guys think about the draft? Who would you have as the biggest sleeper? I imagine it's Kaprizov going from like the 6th round to the 3rd overall. But if you want to see me do another year, let me know in the comments below. And as always, have a great day. See you next time.